Hey, it's the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We expect to see Chris Yao at some point, but hey, who knows? We got 2 hours. Should be able to make it without him, but it's always nice to have him, particularly on Monday. It's the Monday Mirror, and we got a lot to look back at. Wade, how was your
What's
Easter
that?
weekend?
Man, Easter was great. I hope everybody's was well, and a lot of basketball, a lot of relaxing, a lot of eating, honestly. And I'm ready to rock and roll though. Should be a good show today, like you said a moment ago.
Hey, a lot of eating. It's right up my alley. I like the sound of that. Yeah, should be a good show. Like you said, we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of it basketball motivated as we were tuned in to Tennessee twice over the weekend and got one positive result. But, it is what it is. It's tournament time. Also, going to talk a little Braves. We're going to talk very little Astros just for Wade. But we are going to check in with Christopher Gabriel, huge UT fan, get his thoughts on Friday night and on yesterday. I'm going to talk later in the show with Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press, talking a little women's basketball, as we have half of the women's Final Four set, and the other half will be in place by the time we go to bed tonight, probably. So, talk to him a little bit about that and about some news in women's basketball as well. So plenty of other stuff going on over the weekend and coming up this week as well. We will be tying up some loose ends toward the end of the show. But that's what it looks like. Couple of good guests. I'm looking forward to speaking with both Christopher and with Doug. And so, with no further ado, Wade, let's give everybody this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy. Prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
To the rundown we go, to the diamond we go. These are baseball scores coming in over the weekend, but first we begin on Friday. It was Auburn, Alabama, 11, Clarksville 1. William Mason out of Ohio defeated Blackman 11-5. Clarksville was a 14-4 winner over Chelsea, Alabama. Kirkwood defeated Clarksville Christian 8-2. It was Creekwood 11, Lakota East, Ohio 7. Pendleton Heights out of Indiana put up 13 runs, knocking off Creekwood, who scored just 8. Watertown wins at 9-7 versus East Robertson. Rossview wins 2 ball games versus 2 out-of-state foes. They defeated Edwardsville, Illinois, 5-1. They followed up with a 4-1 win over Enterprise, Alabama. Fayetteville an 8-4 victory over Hampshire. It was Friendship Christian 12, Metamora, Illinois 3. Good win there for Friendship Christian. How about Gallatin, folks? 22 runs, knocking off Adina, Ohio, 22-2. Ooh, the bats were swinging. Not the only big offensive output, though, as a couple other scores. Cookeville defeated Gallatin 8-0. Gibbs, I mentioned the bats were hot for some teams this weekend. They blasted Giles County 20-5. Watertown was a 10-3 win over Good Pasture. Good Pasture bounced back, however, with an 8-2 victory versus Liberty Creek. Helena, Alabama, in a squeaker, 1-0 over Middle Tennessee Christian. Friendship Christian 4, Hendersonville 4. A tie. A game at least suspended there. And so 4-4, again, your score between Friendship Christian and Hendersonville. Fairview 8, Hickman County 5. Harpeth 8, Hume Fogg 5. Independent 7, Columbia nothing. Centennial 10, John Overton 5. Eagleville was a winner 13-7 over Knoxville Halls. Middle Tennessee Christian defeated Leeds, Alabama 5-3. White House Heritage 6, Lenoir City 5. Mount Juliet 1, Lipscomb Academy nothing. Mount Pleasant wins a really fun ball game versus Richland. 12-11 was your final score in that showdown. Noblesville, Indiana puts up 10, Oakland just 3. Page with 2 nice victories, 7-6 over Beaver Creek, Ohio, and then 8-7 over Crawfordsville, Indiana. Coffee County 11, Portland 1. Powell wins at 9-0 over Portland in the second contest there for the Panthers. 12-2, it was Ravenwood over Clarksville Northeast. Riverdale 4, Watkins Memorial, Ohio 2, Zionsville, Indiana, a 10-1 win over Siegel. Franklin County wins it 3-1 versus Smyrna. Greenbrier 11-0 over Springfield. Spring Hill knocking off Perkins, Ohio by the count of 7-1. Station Camp, a 15-9 victory over Glenbrook, South Illinois. Stewart's Creek defeats Rockvale 12-2. Summertown wins a fun ball game 7-4 versus rival Lawrence County. And Wilson Central capping our Friday baseball scores 8-2 over Fishers, Indiana, and 8-2 over Dyer County.
Saturday baseball action. Antioch with a 15-0 win over Brainerd. Rossview defeated Briarwood Christian 6-2. Christ Presbyterian Academy with a 17-7 win over Fishers, Indiana. Davidson Academy down Western Boone of Indiana 9-2. Bryan Station, Kentucky 6, Eagleville 5. Middle Tennessee Christian with a 12-6 win over Florence, Alabama. Forest Edge, Richland 7-6. Friendship Christian with a 6-4 win over Coffee County. It was Good Pasture 12, Metamora of Illinois 2. Coffee County and Hendersonville battled to a 7-7 tie. Adena, Ohio 10, Hume Falk 7. Summertown 19, Lawrence County 11. That's interesting. LaSalle of California with a 5-2 win over Lipscomb Academy. It was Clarksville Northwest 6, Middle Tennessee Monarchs 4. Hilliard Darby of Ohio 7, Oakland 4. Friendship Christian with a 4-3 win over Portland. It was Prattville, Alabama 5, Clarksville 3. Riverdale 7, Franklin County 2. Siegel with a 7-5 win over Creekwood. The Kings Academy defeated Giles County 13-5. White House Heritage defeated Union County 13-4. University High, I believe that's out of Johnson City, defeated Eagleville 11-1. Davidson Academy with a 14-3 win over Westmoreland, and Heritage Christian of Indiana with an 11-3 win over Westmoreland. Softball action on Friday. It was Centennial 15, Overton 1. Smyrna with an 8-0 win over McMinn County. Smyrna also defeated Soddy Daisy 4-1, but lost to Lincoln County 6-5. Cleveland of Alabama defeated Summit 8-5, and Boyd Buchanan defeated Summit 5-2. Tough day for Summit, who also dropped a 2-0 decision to Knoxville Halls. On Saturday, Silverdale Academy defeated Smyrna 3-0. Summit bounces back with a 7-6 win over Upperman before falling 4-1 to Siegel. On the pitch, boys soccer action on Friday. Laverne defeated Cookville 5-1. It was Hendersonville 4, Grissom of Alabama 2. Riverdale with a 3-0 win over Lebanon. On Saturday, Hendersonville and Bob Jones of Alabama played to a 2-2 draw.
Men's college basketball, we touched on Tennessee. They did defeat Creighton in the matchup Friday night. 82-75 was your score there. But yesterday, Purdue edging the Vols 72-66, your final score, as the Boilermakers now advance to the Final Four. On the ice, the Predators were in a wild showdown on Saturday that they fell to the Avalanche. We advertised this game last week, said it was going to be a crazy one. Indeed, it was. 7-4, the Avalanche win. Also, Saturday night, the Magic defeated the Grizzlies 118-88. Also, Saturday night, Nashville SC had one of the crazier goals in franchise history, but it doesn't mean much, Mo, when you give up 2. They draw 2-2 versus the Columbus Crew. The Sounds were in action this weekend. Toledo wins Friday's game 4-2. They also win Saturday's game 4-2, but the Sounds bounced back yesterday with a 12-0 victory versus Toledo. MLB scores from Friday. The Braves are a 9-3 winner over the Phillies. The Yankees put up 7, just 1 for my beloved Astros. Saturday, it was 12-4, the Braves knocking off the Phillies. 5-3, the Yankees a winner on Saturday. Sunday, the Phillies get one back, winning at 5-4. The Astros swept by the Yankees. 4-3 was the score from yesterday. Since we're on the topic of baseball, how about some games coming your way? And they crank up early, starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Antioch will travel to Hillsboro. Hampshire will visit Santa Fe. Watertown is at Smith County. At 4:30, Grace Christian Franklin is at University School of Nashville. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Webb School. Davidson Academy will travel to Good Pasture at 4:30 as well. Glencliff's at Maplewood. DCA travels to Mount Juliet Christian at 5 o'clock tonight. McKenzie is at Houston County. Clarksville Northeast is at Joe Burns. Cane Ridge is at John Overton. Now into the 6 o'clock window. We have Warren County at Columbia. Friendship Christian is at Ezel Harding. Eagleville is at Fayetteville. Tullahoma comes to Pulaski tonight. They'll be at Sam Davis Park as Giles County plays host to the Wildcats in a good showdown here in P-Town, Mo.
Also at 6 o'clock, Summertown, is at Mount Pleasant. Clarksville Academy goes to Nashville Christian. Providence Christian hosts Franklin Road Academy. Hampshire plays at Santa Fe. Henry County goes to West Creek. Westmoreland hosts Trousdale County. Again, those are all 6 o'clock starts. At 6:30, Portland is at Beach. The Battle of Franklin as the Admirals travel across McHatcher Bypass to take on the Cougars of Centennial. Columbia Academy hosts in Battleground Academy. East Hickman goes to Harpeth. Martin Luther King is at Hume Fogg. Lincoln County hosts in Spring Hill. Loretto taking on visiting Lewis County. Lawrence County is at Murfreesboro Central. Summit goes to Page. Ravenwood hosts Independence. Clarksville is at Springfield. Again, those are all 6:30 starts. At 7, Fairview is at Creekwood. Cheatham County goes to Hickman County. McKenzie is at Houston County. Station Camp plays at Macon County, and Smyrna hosts Stewart's Creek. Softball action today. 4 o'clock start for Clarksville Christian at Christian Community. Also at 4, Lexington of Alabama is at Loretto. At 4:30, McGavock hosts Lawson. Also, Donaldson Christian goes to Mount Juliet Christian. 5 o'clock, you can see this one or hear this one. Which one, Wade?
Audio.
Audio only. Ardmore is at Giles County. That's a 5 o'clock start. You can hear it on Pulaski Citizen Live. Also at 5, Independence is at Columbia Central. Greenbrier takes on host Davidson Academy at 5. Also, Westmoreland is at Friendship Christian. Zion Christian goes to Hickman County. Ravenwood hosts Ezel Harding. Wilson Central is at Station Camp. Summit hosting Nolansville. At 5:30, Montgomery Central goes to Clarksville. Lawrence County is at Franklin County. Franklin Road Academy is at Overton. That's a quick trip. Eagleville is at Cornersville at 6. Also at 6, Lebanon's at Hendersonville. Marshall County goes to Murfreesboro Central, and Columbia Academy is at Summertown. 6 o'clock on the pitch, Giles County is at Fayetteville in boys soccer action. Also at 6, you can see this on Valley Sports South as the Grizzlies go to Detroit, taking on the Pistons. Major League Baseball right now, this was a 1:10 start. The Braves are at Chicago against the White Sox. They lead 3-0 in the top of the 4th with a runner at second and 1 out. 7:10 tonight, the Blue Jays travel to the winless Astros. And in NCAA women's basketball action tonight, Elite 8, LSU Iowa in the Albany 2 finals at 6:15. You can see it on ESPN, followed by UConn and Southern Cal in the Portland 3 region finals. That one's at 8:15. You can also see it on ESPN, and that is your rundown. Top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for your delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as your hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia. Stop by. We spoke, Wade, with Ben McKee last week of Go Vols 24/7, and part of the discussion was the women's basketball coaching situation at the University of Tennessee. Well, there has been a change. The university announced earlier today that Kelly Harper has been fired after 5 seasons. And, you hate to see it for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons that Ben kind of spoke to when we spoke with him, just from the standpoint that, she's an alumnus, she's an LVFL, but things weren't trending in the right direction relative to the expectations for Tennessee women's basketball. Um, 108 and 52 in 5 seasons, never finished better than third in the league, never made it past the Sweet 16 in the NCAAs, lost this past year in the second round to NC State, where the guy that replaced her at NC State dealt them that season-ending defeat, Wes Moore. So, I mean, that was kind of insult to injury right there. But I don't know that necessarily played a role in Danny White's decision or not, but it's certainly more exhibits to maybe that needing to be the direction that they go in.
Yeah, and this is obviously tough, and we speculated a lot. Really, we started speculating, toward the end of the regular season. So, I mean, in some respects, this is obviously not a complete blindside. It was in the realm of possibility. We certainly knew, and after last week had kind of played itself out, you kind of were wondering, is something coming down? Is something not going to come down? And then obviously we see the news today, and it's tough. And you kind of rattled off some of the milestones and markers there during her tenure. And it's unfortunate because I think as we see this a lot, right? But if there had been one particular shining moment that you could really hang your hat on, I think it probably would have been enough to buy her at least another season. If they had made a deep run in the NCAA tournament this year, or if they had, won the regular season somehow, or won the SEC tournament, I feel like
or won that South Carolina game in the tournament semifinals.
Exactly. I just feel like just one little thing to hang your hat on would have probably been enough to at least really justify, I suppose, keeping her around for one more season. But the fact you didn't have really any of those, and as you said, kind of not really trending even in the right direction, I think it was just a tough decision. You never want to see anybody lose their job, but tough that it comes down, obviously, for Kelly Harper there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just hate to see it, man. Again, she's a former player. She's one of the last connections to Pat, and you really wanted to see it work for her with them, and clearly it did not. And, both of our guests today, I'm sure will have more to say on this, both Christopher Gabriel in the next segment and Associated Press national women's basketball writer Doug Feinberg in the second hour as we talk women's March Madness. I'm sure we will try to grab some insight from him on this. And obviously the question has to be at this point, what direction do you go in for a replacement? And again, we'll get into this more as the show progresses, but I'm not sure that there is another Pat disciple out there. I'm not sure that there is anybody else out there necessarily with UT connections. There's one name that I just don't know why. I don't know why she'd come, really. But I think it's going to be an interesting coaching search. But is there anybody else that you trust more, given his history, than Danny White to conduct it?
Yeah, and that's I was getting ready to say a couple interesting things. Obviously there's a sense of probably disappointment and frustration with the Lady Vols program, but the good news is this is your chance to go out, make a nice hire, and if you make the right hire, I mean, it's not fair. This is not as if UT is just this downtrodden program that does not have resources, does not have facilities. I mean, this in theory should still be a really attractive job. And if you make a right hire, boom, I mean, you could just potentially be tossing a match back on this thing. And now the flame is back on up there on Rocky Top. And
again, we were probably saying virtually the same thing about UT football when Danny White went out and got Josh Heupel. So, you don't think it's that far off. And, we'll see. I'm certainly interested to see how that goes. So when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by Christopher Gabriel talking a little Tennessee men's basketball, and I'm sure a little Tennessee women's basketball as well. So stay tuned after this break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the Lee Company Studios for the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and joining us now, Christopher Gabriel, West Coast media magnate and huge VFL. And Chris, appreciate your diligence to get on with us, because we were texting earlier and it was going to take some work on your part because of some issues out there.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, great to see you. Great to see both of you. Yeah. I arrived home. I do the morning show at KMJ, and I arrived home and got a note from our wonderful power company out here, and I say that sarcastically, that there was somebody jumped on a power line or something. And here in Fresno, when they say somebody jumped on a power line, somebody probably did jump on a power line. Okay. Yeah, and so translation, all of North Fresno is out of power, and so I was not getting much of a good Wi-Fi signal in my house. I'm with Verizon. And in this area of 1.1 million people, and I realize this is more than you ever wanted to hear, the worst area for Verizon, my house. So I'm now in a parking lot of a grocery store, and I think I positioned myself in a way that I'm good because I've got bushes in front of me, cars on either side of me, no chance to my knowledge that a grocery cart will hit me. I think we're good here.
Now that is dedication, and
No
we
doubt.
appreciate that.
No doubt.
Listen,
We definitely
when Mo calls, when Mo asks, I am there.
listen to you. Listen to you. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm sure you were there Friday night, parked in front of your TV, watching this UT Creighton game, and then again yesterday watching this UT Purdue game. What were your thoughts on the weekend's events for the Orange?
Well, I never, to be honest with you, and I'm on record here in radio in Tennessee, certainly, I never thought that we would lose the Creighton game. I felt that the matchups were strong in the favor of the Vols. I didn't think that there was anybody on Creighton. And I mean, Creighton's a very good basketball team. Obviously, McDermott, wonderful coach. They have some nice talent there, obviously. I didn't think that they had anybody that was going to, outside of their big gun, was going to be able to really affect the Vols defense. I didn't think they had anybody who could really legitimately handle Dalton Connect for an entire game. My concern, without trying to look ahead, was going to be for the Sunday game, and obviously with good cause. The Vols on Sunday with Purdue, there's a lot of different ways to look at this game. I mean, number one, Zach Edey, listen, I don't have as many problems with the fouls that were called on the Vols as much as the utter lack of calls that should have gone against him. Right. I saw a picture on the internet today of a tent sitting in a lane that said Edey on it. Listen, he's a good player, and if a Purdue fan is listening, they would just pass this off as some Vols fan or some media guy that doesn't know Purdue that well. Look, I'm of an age, I think, Mo, you're in the same area. I remember Walton at UCLA. I remember Alcindor at UCLA. I remember Olajuwon at Houston. Those three in particular, when I think of great big men, were dynamic centers with prolific skills. I'm sorry, that is not Zach Edey.
It's really
not the player. It's just not.
He's big.
Yeah, he is a big guy, takes up a lot of space, and granted, that bigness affects defenses. I'm not sure what was going on, why the referees are so deferential to him. But having said all that and gotten that out of the way, by the way, if that was Uros from last year, he would have been fouled out in 3 minutes. But the Vols, I think ultimately what this game, and follow me for a moment, this game paralleled the Texas game in so much as that game we shot, 3 for 27, I think from 3, but they found a way to win. And to me, that was the Dalton Connect factor. He made a couple of big threes. He made free throws down the stretch. I think Adu made a couple as well. They rewrote the script that we have seen so many times with Tennessee in March. The game on Sunday, we had a chance to do the same thing. 33 fouls to 11 fouls. But if the Vols make a shot here or there, and it's the magic if, right? If Zakai Ziegler's legs were a little bit better, he looked like he was just a little winded. He makes those floaters usually. We missed a lot of shots in the mid-range game. That really hurt us. And I think this, and I'm going to agree with Charles Barkley on this. I think if there was one, if you wanted to point to one spot that the Vols may have lost this game, or at least it planted the seeds to lose it, it's when we were up 32-21 and the last 5 minutes, that lead went away and they went in the halftime trailing. I really felt that losing that lead was going to be crucial. I agree with Barkley, and it proved to be crucial. And we just never came back from it. But you know what? It was 58-58 with 5 or 6 minutes to go. The game was there. Purdue made a couple of more plays. A credit to them. That's a good basketball team. I'm sorry, I'm not in the Edey fan club when it comes to him having some sort of profound effect other than being big.
Being big. I mean, that's about the extent of it from what I saw. I mean, I will say Sunday was the first time that I've probably watched him for 40 minutes, and he's big, but and he's bigger than anybody that UT could throw at him. And they took full advantage of that, and kudos to them for being able to do so. And you can't teach what he gives you. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I could add one more thing. Yeah, You're right. You're so right, Mo. You can't teach that. I mean, he's got great size. Two things. If the Vols would have been better in the mid-range game, it really would have forced him to come out a little bit, and that would have changed everything offensively. But it wasn't to be. The other thing I wanted to say, and listen, I'll preface this by saying I'm a Rick Barnes fan. I'm a Rick Barnes supporter. He's not perfect. What coach is, outside of maybe Pat Summitt and maybe John Wooden? But I think that Coach Barnes this year showed evolution. He changed things offensively, giving not only, obviously, you're going to give Dalton Knecht freedom, but he gave this team freedom to be much looser. We pushed transition this year. I have not seen a men's basketball team push transition more this year. I mean, they did it more than they have done in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that speaks well to recruiting, because there's no doubt that what this team showed this year is that Tennessee men's basketball is a viable entity, and they are borderline powerhouse. And I think that the recruiting doors are going to open. I think the transfer portal, Dalton Knecht and Jordan Gainey, but especially Dalton Knecht, showed what a prolific scorer can do at Tennessee. He can become a better defensive player and not lose any of the scoring ability. And I think that is really going to bode well for this program, fellas.
Yeah, and Christopher, as you make that point there, I'm kind of watching the game yesterday as a pretty neutral observer, and Michigan fandom compels me to root against Purdue as often as I can. So I guess you could maybe put me even a shade in the Tennessee camp there. And just as a neutral observer, I mean, I don't know what more of a better one-on-one duel that you could ask for. I mean, Knecht goes for 37, obviously, and then Edey delivers 40. And you make a great point there when you say that, yes, obviously it stinks. You wanted to get to that first ever Final Four. This was a game that was played, really, to my opinion, kind of like a Final Four game in the sense of the hype and the drama. It's just unfortunate that it came around too early. But your take-home message there landed with me just a moment ago when you said that this could be a springboard to really get UT to potential greater heights. The Elite Eight now should almost potentially, with recruiting at your side, be almost more the standard, and then eventually, obviously, with enough opportunities, you're going to bust through that door.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I was talking with a friend, a media friend out here earlier, fellas, and I'll throw this at you, see what you think. This reminds me a little bit of Tennessee football when Peyton Manning was there. There were so many expectations, and the thought was sooner or later, he and this team was going to win the big one. It never happened. They weren't able to do it. Peyton leaves, and what happens the following year? T. Martin leads them to a national championship. So sometimes the team that you think is going to be the one that wins it all or goes far is not the one. It's the next one or two later. And I think to your point, and following that a little bit, I think that this program is not far away. I think this program is right there. The draw didn't help. Not getting a number one seed hurt, because when we all saw Purdue in the bracket, I mean, we were all thinking, oh boy, Maui and dealing with this guy again. But I think that all things considered, going forward, there's no reason why this program cannot get back to at least the Elite Eight next year. No reason.
Yeah, and that's with Knecht obviously departing, there will be a massive hole. But that's kind of the point that you made, is that the transfer portal, you're not taking as much of a dice roll on a guy like Knecht as so much as guys are going to potentially be coming to you with maybe even a little more established pedigrees than Knecht had, as we saw this year.
Yeah, no, you're right. And listen, Dalton Knecht, he was just a special player. I mean, I remember we all watched video of him from Northern Colorado, and I thought, well, here's a guy that can all I thought was, here's a guy who can shoot, and he looks like he's got some hops to him. I don't think anybody understood what we had until he had that breakaway dunk against Michigan State when he put the ball behind his back, and I mean, his head was at the rim, and that was the first moment in that game I thought, oh, this team may have something a little more in this young man. The only game that that he was ever really that off to me, I mean, it was a couple, but one that sticks out was the North Carolina game. But he had the ankle coming back from that. I think, is he replaceable? People will say no, but there's always going to be a takeover type guy out there. It's going to be up to Rick Barnes to find him. And I have every confidence in that staff led by him that they can find someone, maybe not the next Dalton Connect, but somebody who has the ability to, like the Auburn game, just take over a game and own it. That guy or guys, they're out there. It's just a matter of identifying them and bringing them to Knoxville.
And I think the final point with Connect there is a lot of quote unquote criticism about Barnes coming in, or the Tennessee Rick Barnes teams, where they don't have that one guy who can go get you the buckets down the stretch. And yeah, he missed some shots at the end, but that was because he was flat out tired. I mean, the guy played 37 minutes yesterday, but I think it was refreshing to me, again, kind of as a true neutral observer here, that you kind of got to let Rick Barnes, let it all hang out, so to speak, and say, you know what, a lot of talk about my offense not really coming up clutch down the stretch. I'm going to let my superstar make some plays. And he did everything. I mean, it ended 6 points, but it was basically a one-possession game right there at the very end.
Yeah, for the people that like to get on Rick Barnes, and again, he's not without criticism, and we're all. I mean, I work for a 58,000 watt radio station, and we are blessed. Follow me here. We're blessed to have the #1 show, 6 to 9 in the entire market. But if I don't produce, if our team doesn't produce, we're out. Rick Barnes, it's not like the man doesn't produce. He's had difficulty in March, there's no doubt, but there are 362 teams playing Division I basketball. Find me a few more guys out there that have won 800 games, and the vast majority of coaches out there don't even get to the NCAA tournament, much less get out of the first weekend, much less get to an Elite Eight. So I think, and maybe I tend to be a glass half full guy, but the fact is, and it is a fact, Rick Barnes has done more for this program and more for this sport than the overwhelming majority of coaches in men's college basketball. So I get tired of people beating on him. I like the fact that he is in Tennessee. I like that he develops players fully, and I like that he develops men off the court.
Christopher Gabriel, West Coast VFL, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Christopher, we would be remiss if we did not get your thoughts regarding the dismissal of Kelly Harper earlier today.
Well, I loved Kelly as a player. I mean, I really did. 3 national championships for Pat, and she was just fun to watch. And there's no doubt in my mind she's a good lady. But I do think it was time. And if you just allow me this, I've seen a lot of infighting with Vols fans, a lot of, just people getting just crazy over what should or shouldn't happen or what have you. When you get a couple of 2 or 3 appearances ago on your show, fellas, I gave the numbers of the top coaches in women's college basketball. If you want to be a program that is at the championship level, you better be a coach that is winning at 800 or more in terms of a percentage. 750, 760 is about as low as it goes for a couple. Mm-hmm. Kelly was at 680. Kelly, when she came to UT as a coach, was really, nothing more than an average coach. I mean, that's what she was. That's not opinion. The numbers bear it out where she was. I really had great hopes that she was going to find that magic and rekindle that Pat Summitt fire. But it was a reminder, again, just like Holly was, that there only will be one Pat Summitt. So I think it had to be done because while the program is not off the radar, it is off the championship radar. And when you walk into Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center, I can't get used to that. What you notice up there are 8 beautiful championship banners. Just like when you walk into Pauley Pavilion, you don't see any other banners. You don't see anything except championship banners. And when you walk into TBA, that's the standard of excellence. And that standard of excellence has not been met. As to making the change now, I think Danny White, it's a tough thing to do. But I heard you say it earlier, Mo. If there's anybody who I believe has the absolute intellect and chutzpah to find and grab and get the next coach, it's him. Who to go for? There's a lot of debate about that. There's, again, more infighting, more people throwing barbs at each other. there's some names out there that I like. I love the idea of at least making a phone call to Becky Hammond. I mean, she's brilliant. Why not make a phone call to her? Why not make a phone call to Jeff Walls? You say that on the internet, and Louisville fans lose their minds. Like, look, let me remind you, I'm a media guy. I'm a fan. I'm not hiring anybody. Why not talk to Carl Semesco at the Florida Gulf Coast? And why not talk to Molly Miller? A thought about Molly Miller. So many Vols fans, I've had a number of them call me ignorant, all kinds of things. And I would respectfully offer back to them that maybe the ignorance lies with them, because I had one guy saying, we don't need a Division III coach. I said, okay, Junior, wake up. Grand Canyon University is not a Division III team. It's Division I. She won a Division II national championship. No, she hasn't done it at the D1 level in terms of, really elevating GCU. But I've seen her teams in person. She is a great coach. She knows how to recruit. Remember, she's still a GCU. She knows how. She has a great X's and O's guy who's got connections to this area. Bottom line is, I don't know. I don't think she'll probably get the job, but that is a name that you would at least want Danny White to talk to. She nearly got the Kentucky job. I don't know who Danny's going to get, but I saw this line from one of the media guys in Knoxville today, and that is he needs to swing for the fences, and he does, because this job, like Kentucky on the men's side, still like UCLA, like a Duke, this job has equity, it has panache, it's marquee, and it is waiting for the right person to come in there and elevate this program back to the point where they would be playing today. They should be playing today. They're not. And Danny needs to get somebody who is going to take this program and say, I'm not Pat Summitt, but I'm going to honor Pat Summitt. I'm going to honor those banners up there by bringing back championship basketball to the Lady Vols. And I have great confidence that he's going to do that, fellas.
Christopher Gabriel, we always appreciate it when he comes on because he always brings the heat, man, and never fails. So thank you, sir. Good luck with your power situation out there. And,
well, yeah, Christopher, did you think your UT Vols fandom would have you in a parking lot on a Monday morning here?
You know what? I'm going to say no. But I'm going to say that when Main Street Sports, and I love coming on the show and really love joining you guys. It's like the bat signal. It's right up there. I can see it. When Main Street Sports calls, I rearrange my day. And if I have to be in a damn parking lot in front of Vaughn's grocery store, I'm going to do it.
Man, we appreciate you. Have a good rest of your Monday, and we'll catch up with you.
All right, fellas. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher.
When we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA Columbia, we've got MON-STARS. Wade and I will be giving you our top performers from the weekend, and it may be a little easier since Chris isn't going to be here, apparently. So we'll see how that goes here in the next segment. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, the Monday Mirror edition, and it's time for MON-STARS as Wade and I give you our top performers from the weekend. Mr. Neely, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Mo. And MON-STARS, let's just rip the Band-Aid off right out of the gate. This guy resembled literally one of the ghoulish creatures from Space Jam yesterday, and Zach Edey, Dalton Connect, a worthy selection in his own right, but Edey goes for 40 points, 16 rebounds. Did he break or match David Robinson's record? They mentioned it several times during the broadcast yesterday. 5 games now in the tournament with 20 rebounds and 20 points, 10 rebounds. There we go. And this guy, he's a MON-STAR, literally, and he's just so freaking huge in the paint, like we mentioned with Christopher a moment ago. But you got to tip your cap, give the devil his due, as it were. 40 points yesterday, played 39 minutes in the win over the Vols.
I'm going to see your Zach Edey, who, like you said, is definitely a MON-STAR, and I'm going to raise you a DJ Burns in anticipation of that national semifinal matchup. The NC State post player, former Vol, by the way.
It'd have been fun to watch him in a Vol uniform yesterday go against him.
Could have used him. 29 points of 13 of 19 from the floor, along with 4 rebounds and 3 assists, as the Wolfpack generated one of Wade's favorite Facebook posts with their 76-64 win over Duke. Hit it, Wade.
Duke loses, USA, baby. It's a national celebration when Duke loses, really anytime, but most certainly when they lose their final game of the regular season. Hey, real quick, did you see the clip of Jokic watching the Duke NC State game yesterday? He's watching the game, and they're talking about him in the press conference, and he's getting ready to deliver his own press conference. He says, hang on, I'm watching this big guy for NC State who's balling. And he talks about how smooth Mr. Burns is. So he's got a good supporter in Jokic there, which is
that's a nice endorsement right there.
Yeah, that's a ringing endorsement. And you're right. It is going to be fun to watch him and Edey go at it. And yeah, you wish that Tennessee had maybe had a bit of an answer for him yesterday. But Burns and Edey is going to be electric coming up this weekend.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Who's your number 2?
Number 2, I'll keep it in the pro, we'll go to the pros, but it'll be regional, which may give this away a little bit. But he's leading the major league in home runs right now. I know a couple of those came, one of those came while he's playing overseas. But how about the weekend for Mookie Betts? He homers in 3 out of the 4 games. Take last night's game off the table. He goes 0 for 4, big whoop. But all he did before that, Mo, on Thursday he was 1 for 3, but scored 3 runs. And then followed up with a nice performance. He homered in all 3 games. You got to give a little love to Mookie as the Dodgers do well versus the Cardinals, taking 3 out of 4.
That's awesome. It was funny. I sent you guys a clip over the weekend of one of the MLB commentators, and I cannot remember immediately who it was. Chris Young, former Padres center fielder, among others, speaking to Mookie's defensive moves. And it was like, dude, where you been? We covered this on Main Street Sports 3 weeks ago. But, but, you know, he was saying a lot of the same things that we were saying, which really made me feel better. So, my number 2 pick, staying in the major league realm, Matt Olson announced his presence with authority on Friday, going 3 for 5 with 3 doubles, 2 oppo doubles, driving in 3 runs and scoring 1 in the Braves' 9-3 comeback victory over Philadelphia after opening day was postponed today for them because of rain in the Northeast. So, yeah, big day to start things off for Olson. The Braves won 2 of 3 in that series. We'll talk more about that in the next segment, but yeah. Big Friday for Matt.
Crushing early. He's you know, a lot of folks are talking about Ohtani, but there's a lot of chatter about him leading the majors in homers this year.
Well, he had 54 last year. I mean, it's probably not a bad bet. Who's your number 3?
Number 3, and I got to pull up the box score just to make sure I give my proper flowers here. Richland sophomore. I didn't get a chance to mention this last week, but Richland sophomore Cooper Jackson was electric on the diamond, throwing a no-hitter in their win versus Culleoka on the road. They ended up having to play that game delayed by 1 day. But Cooper goes 6 innings, does not give up a hit. He did allow 1 run. He had two walks that he issued. That was really the only thing that kind of kept him other than Richland's defense kind of at times keeping him away. But he had the no-no, and Richland got the district win 11-1 versus Culleoka. So Cooper Jackson, who's a hard-throwing sophomore, for the Raiders, gets my final MON-STAR.
9 strikeouts in that one, right?
Yeah, he was dealing as Richland playing pretty well, kind of biding their business. And I'm looking here, was this 70 pitches? I mean, pretty efficient with his stuff as well. 46 of them going for strikes. So Cooper Jackson, my final MON-STAR.
That's a nice little rotation there with the sophomore and senior Bryce Miller.
Yeah, Richland's and they have a what's the word you would use? A army, I guess, maybe. They have a lot of young arms that haven't really developed yet. They got guys like Brooks Bratton, son of a former good friend of the program, let's put it that way, Kelly Bratton. And so they've got some young arms that haven't even really got tested yet. So keep your eyes out for the Raiders, maybe not even this year, but the next year or 2 to come.
They advanced to the sectionals last year, is that right?
I think they got to the was it last year
the regions?
2 years ago? I went to McKenzie. I should know this, but I'm trying to remember if it was last year or 2 years ago.
Last year or the year before? Yeah. It's funny when you get to a certain age, they start to run together.
It was the sectionals. Good call, Mo. Yeah, that's right, because it was the new format. They dropped both games to McKenzie, lost 5-2 and then 6-12. They defeated Moore County in the region, was that consolation game, I guess, as it were. To get that bid. So bright future ahead for the Raiders. How about you, my friend? Last one.
Paying homage, pouring one out for the guy who ain't here. San Antonio Brahma center Alex Mollett catches a 40-yard touchdown pass on 4th down from punter Brad Wing to help the Brahmas to a 27-12 win over the DC Defenders in week 1 of the UFL season. So a little special teams big man touchdown in UFL play.
You know,
Everybody
and yeah, anytime that the big guys get a touchdown, it's basically a national holiday. They have National Tight Ends Day, but I feel like there should be a national big boy touchdown day. And I can't remember if we discussed this, but the Brahmas, they've got Wing, who obviously of LSU fame, you know, is an electric athlete in his own right. And then they got that YouTube sensation, Donald De La Haye Jr., who's their kicker. He's like got 5.
I didn't realize he was there.
Yeah, destroying. He's got like 5+ million YouTube subscribers.
Yeah. This is the guy who was at Central Florida, and the NCAA told him he had to shut down his YouTube or whatever, and he said, "No, I'm just not going to play anymore."
As my buddy Cody Derryberry said, the Brahmas have the swaggiest special teams unit in the history of the UFL. Which
no question. Yeah,
I guess no one's there really to even challenge them, but yeah. And then we see it in week 1, throwing a touchdown to the big guy.
A thick 6, as Chip Walters would call it. Yes. Gotta love it. Those are your MON-STARS. We're going to take a break, come back, talk a little baseball. Stay with us here in the Lee Company studios on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We shall return.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
April 1st, 2012. The Atlanta Braves acquire infielder Juan Francisco from Cincinnati in exchange for pitcher J.J. Hoover. Francisco hit .234 with 9 home runs in 93 games that season and appeared in 35 games in 2013 before he was traded to Milwaukee for pitcher Thomas Keeling. That was this day in Braves history. And if you don't remember it, I understand. Braves up 6-0 in the bottom of the 6th, which makes this an official game in Chicago. There is rain expected, but to this point, they seem to have avoided it. They've not avoided the cold, but they have avoided the rain to this point. But again, Braves 6, White Sox nothing, bottom of 6. Charlie Morton's still on the mound, probably his final inning since he just threw pitch number 89. So
they've been showing the cutout or cutaways in the crowd, and I'm loving it. I mean, people are just miserable.
Yeah.
The White Sox fans are what few there are remaining at this point. They're just miserable right now.
Well, they're miserable weather-wise and they're miserable performance-wise. You're right. But yeah, meanwhile, what is it? What is the weather in Chicago right now? Well, Chicago, not Chickamauga. Stop. 46 degrees and raining in Chicago. The fans aren't the only people that are miserable. I mean, Michael Harris Jr. has got the ski mask that you pull up from your neck, and all of these other guys do too. Brian Snitker making his way out to the mound. Morton is done after 5 2/3 apparently. So, but yeah, Braves took 2 of 3 in Philadelphia to open the season. Again, they won 9-3 on Friday, won 12-4 on Saturday, but before dropping yesterday's matchup 5-4. And it all started with a double play that was overturned. Rightfully so. No complaints. Just tough loss because the Phillies scored 3 runs with 2 outs there in the 7th to rally back from being down 3-2 and win that one 5-4. So, again, got 2 out of 3 in Philly. And on their way to getting the opener of a 3-game set against the White Sox right here. So Morton got the start. Tomorrow is a 6:40 matchup with Ronaldo Lopez making his Braves debut, and then Spencer Strider in Wednesday's afternoon affair as well. So
big old weather permitting, however.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get a lot of the stuff we're supposed to get tomorrow.
And we're supposed to get stuff. We'll talk more about that here later in the show because there is an event that has been canceled as a result of the stuff we're supposed to get. But yeah, 80% chance of rain today in Chicago, 85 tomorrow, 75% chance of snow on Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
yeah, lovely. Exactly.
I will say this, the funny thing, and we could table the other UT Southern chatter for later in the show, but the one thing, having worked all those baseball games over the years, is we would host these schools, and it's still 30 and 40 degrees. Knock on wood. Right now, we're sitting okay temperature-wise. I think we might be in the clear for the next couple weeks. But we would have these teams come down on their spring break trips, and it's 30 and 40, and we're not canceling the games because the other team is excited. They're like, oh, well, we can actually see the grass here. And I'm like, yeah, but it's 30 degrees. And they're like, oh, well, it's like 18 degrees back in Indiana or wherever it is. So,
right.
You know,
so
but this is the complete opposite. They, like you said last week, they should. I don't like the schedule makers here. This is not fun for anybody. Everybody looks miserable except for the Braves that have the most layers on right now.
I don't like it at all. But you know, as Chris pointed out, and we kind of delved into this a little bit at some point because it's been such a factor for such a long period of time. But apparently, Braves officials have said we would prefer to start the season on the road. So, I mean,
number one, I heard you guys say.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say number one. I heard you guys mention that last week, and I guess my immediate thought was, does the request carry that much weight? I mean that sincerely. Just because your GM or your upper management is suggesting, hey, we really would like to play on the road. If you're the MLB, how much credence do you really give that?
I think that's a great question, especially in light of the options that you have. I mean, again, the Braves are opening the season in Philadelphia and Chicago, and I don't know if rain is necessarily regionally oriented. It's all a dice roll anyway. It just feels like, from a logical approach, you would try to open in as many warm weather areas as you could, particularly in March.
Yeah, and especially those, obviously, and I'm not even going to attempt to rack my brain on this, but those without a cover or a roof of some sort. If you're an open air field, yeah, you should be off the table for a couple weeks.
Like Minnesota, for instance.
They have that's who I thought. They have a covering, right?
No, they did. They don't now.
Okay.
No, they are at Target Field is uncovered.
I thought it had a retractable for some reason, but I guess
I don't
not.
believe so. I think Seattle.
Then they're with the rest of them. Just out you go. You're on the road, buddy.
Yep,
hit the
travel.
Road.
Go somewhere warm. You'll thank us later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wade, you mentioned Mookie's shortstop. Mookie Betts' hot start. Apparently his position is hitter, huh?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not, we've seen guys obviously over the years overcome vast defensive lapses because they were such phenomenal hitters, and we're not even close to that with this guy. But he's on fire right now, and obviously the team is playing at a high level. But he's the guy that's kind of the straw that's stirring the proverbial drink, as it were, right now. And Mookie is off to a fast start, and again, we focused a lot in last couple of weeks about his defense, but we sometimes forget the guy can rake too, right?
He can clearly rake, and I mean he's, again, as we said when this first became an issue, he's gonna play well wherever he plays. I mean, shortstop's not going to be an issue for him by any stretch, and clearly it's not impacting his performance at the plate. So as many kudos to him as I can give to a Los Angeles Dodger.
Well said. Currently batting .500, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, OPS 1.757. Those all rank in the top 5 in MLB at the moment.
Shocking. Wade, what's the deal with your Astros?
I didn't get a chance. I knew when we were together last week, and we joked that they were going to go 162-0. I had the 162 part right. I just had the O part wrong.
In the wrong place.
They're going to go 0-162. No, I mean, the good news is the only solace that I'm taking out of this is Yankees figured to be a pretty good team this year. It's not as if they lost 4 games at home to start to the A's. So that's and the fact that it is 162 games. That's the only thing that's kind of getting me by right now.
Yeah. Anybody in particular jumping out at you in this start in either direction?
No, and again, didn't get a chance to even catch most of them. I was just checking the score occasionally. The one thing, and I will pull that back up. The one thing is, I think they only scored 11 runs at home over the weekend
in the 4 games.
Yeah, they gave up 21 and only scored 11 themselves. If that run production was a little higher and they still lost 4 games, it might be like, okay, it was just pitching wasn't great this weekend. But starting off at home 0-4, whether it's a hot team or whether it's a good team or not, is obviously not what you want. Who is it? The Marlins are 0-4, the Mets are 0-3. And the White Sox are soon to be 0-4, most likely. So those are the only winless teams. The good news is one of those teams, Houston, does not really fit what you thought the mold of the others.
One of these things is not like the others. Yeah. And adding insult to injury for you, if you are an Astros fan, is the Angels won their series finale at Baltimore yesterday, 4-1. So like you said, they have won a game. Who else?
They'll
The
be all
Royal
right.
the Royals won their season finale. Their series finale against Minnesota. Heather's got to be happy. 11-0 yesterday against Minnesota. So yeah, it's a little. I don't know how disturbing it is, 3-4 days into the season, but it's certainly a talking point, I guess.
Yep, and the good news is, I mean, we're just starting, so it's not like we're looking at a Tampa Bay situation from last year where one team is raced out to this 30-game sprint and leading everybody by a wide margin. So they got the Blue Jays beginning tonight, so that could be a fun little series. They went 2-2 over their weekend, and I wouldn't be shocked if Houston kind of slowly starts coming back to form. If they're sitting there at 1-9, then I think I might start to get a little worried.
They got a new manager too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. You're throwing me multiple lifelines, and I'm taking every one that I can get. So I appreciate that sincerely.
Well, I mean, I just feel like Houston is going to be a team with postseason aspirations, and I expect them to play up to those, particularly in that division. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, the crazy thing is, they got 3 games versus Toronto. The good news is those are at home, but you got 4 games this weekend on the road at Texas. So it'd be nice to have a little momentum going into that series.
Yeah, because it's getting ready to get real over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other baseball thoughts, Wade?
I kept my eyes on a few games over the weekend, and I just think that we're in for a pretty good season. Baltimore really just Thursday when I was with you guys in studio, they were absolutely just demolishing. We joked about the 10-run rule should be in effect, and for 2 of their 3 games, they did lose the one that you had referenced a moment ago, but 13-4 and 11-3. That's going to be a team, if that's more than just a one series type deal, if that offense is going to put up big numbers like that all season long, they will be approaching dominant territory. Meanwhile, however, I guess I didn't watch any of these games, but how about the Pirates are 4-0 and they've scored 31 runs in that wild-ass NL Central that we talked about last week.
That's crazy, but here's what's even crazier. Well, now, the Brewers are 3-0, but they beat the Mets. So, but yeah, you've got 2 teams in the Central that are both undefeated. The only 2 undefeated teams in the National League.
That's going to be, like I kind of said last week, I think it's going to be a fun division. I don't know that any of those teams are going to be, anything can obviously happen in the postseason, but I don't know that any of those teams are going to be on paper that you're just blown away by and just fearing, shaking in your boots when you draw them in a series. But I think that's going to be a fun, competitive division really all season long. That's just kind of my take on the NL Central right now.
Biggest surprise maybe the Tigers being 3-0. But, excuse me, they swept the White Sox. So, I mean, again, small sample sizes in all of these cases, one series, but, Tigers fans looking for some reasons to believe, I'm sure. And so you're not going to point out the fact that, it was the White Sox. You're just going to say, hey, we're 3-0.
Nope. And how many times, I mean, we talk about it. We spoke about it a lot last year. How many times have we seen it at the end of the season? It comes down to 1 or 2 games in the standings. And then you look back in April, May, or June, and you say, well, maybe we shouldn't have lost 2 games out of 3 to the White Sox, or maybe we shouldn't let the A's come in here and, take 2 out of 3 from us. So
right.
In the grand scheme of things, obviously they all add up. Right now, it's probably not worth making a huge issue about, but at some point down the road, if you're not careful, those little ones will come back to get you.
Absolutely. Hey, as long as we're talking stick and ball sports, the 2024 Mid-State Classic, the big softball event here in Columbia that usually involves University of Tennessee, has been canceled for tomorrow. We were talking about weather issues and expected severe weather has forced the cancellation of that event out at Ridley Park. It's unfortunate. The Lady Vols were supposed to play Memphis in the third of 3 games tomorrow. They would have been preceded by a junior college matchup or a college matchup between Columbia State and UT Southern's junior varsity team. And the first game of the day was to have been Columbia Central and Spring Hill in a big district matchup. But again, expected severe weather has forced a cancellation of that event. And I guess it's for the best considering both UT and Memphis were coming in here from Knoxville and Memphis, and to be able to go ahead and shut that down before they make that trip was probably in the best interest of everybody involved. So disappointing, but makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those, you can plan a pretty picnic.
But you can't predict the weather.
No, sir.
Thank you, Andre.
Since we're talking about that, I'm technically, and I'm thinking about this. I'm not. Let's just put it this way: I'm not packing my rain jackets. I have tickets to the Vanderbilt Western Kentucky game tomorrow night. And Bo, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I am not packing a rain jacket or planning to attend if I see more than 10 drops of rain. I don't think tomorrow.
Yeah.
If they were playing MTSU, I'd get out there. But if they
what's the draw of Vanderbilt Western Kentucky, Wade?
Girlfriend's cousin. It's a belated birthday present. He is a graduate of the school opposite of Vanderbilt.
Oh, okay.
The school that shall not be named, as it were. And so we're gonna
the school on the other end of that 100 miles of hate.
Yes, sir. About. And so as a mea culpa there, we're going to, at the end of the month, check out a couple of the MTSU games versus that said other school there. So it ain't worth getting up there and watching. The only real scenario where I win in this situation is if Vanderbilt puts a whooping on the other school. Mm-hmm. And nobody really wants to go sit out in the rain just to watch that. So it's probably best.
Here would be the play right here, Wade. Go to Nashville, realize that the game is not going to be played, slip over to Satco instead.
Now, that is a possibility. There has been discussion about possibly going to Bridgestone Arena for Preds Bruins. But, a little tacos never hurt anybody.
San Antonio taco is never a bad call.
On Tuesday, especially. So we'll see. But, yeah, that I would assume that one's going to get canceled as well, right?
Well, here's the thing. The X factor there is Tim Corbin. He doesn't like raining out games. He doesn't like raining out games. So stay loose. Stay loose. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll be talking women's hoops with Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely, and we are now joined by Associated Press women's basketball writer Doug Feinberg. Doug, where are you?
I am in lovely Albany, New York, the calm before the storm, so to speak, of the game tonight between Iowa and LSU.
The calm
Doug, LSU and I were playing in women's basketball. I had no idea.
So supposedly there's a game in about a couple hours here. Yeah, should be a couple people watching. I think I turned my computer to show you the fans outside the door right now. This is probably a better view than just me, but I promise you that there are a lot of people already lined up an hour and a half before the gates even open.
Wow,
that's pretty amazing, and folks need to know that. I think that kind of atmosphere is being created for women's basketball, which makes what happened in Portland yesterday even worse. Doug, can you explain that?
Explain? No. How it happened? I know the answer how it happened. Apparently, when they're building the court, they were 9 inches off where they're supposed to be on the baseline. How it actually happened? How do you do that? It's an NCAA tournament. This company should have double, triple, quadruple checked, made sure everything was fine. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the NCAA to have to deal with this. It's embarrassing for Connor Sports to have to deal with this. This has been one of the greatest years in the history of women's basketball in college, and all people are talking about are how the three-point line was off in Portland, or how there was a nose ring issue here in Albany a couple of games ago with Notre Dame, where the rule is you can't wear jewelry, but it wasn't really enforced all year until that game. So that's what people are talking about instead of the great play on the court, where you have this unbelievable game tonight potentially. You have two of the other great players in Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins playing in the late game tonight in Portland, yet we're focused on other stuff, which I understand why, but it's unfortunate for the sport.
I think you encapsulated it. You understand why, and it's absolutely unfortunate. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, you know, you don't want to say it's laughable, but it makes you look at the situation askew. Obviously, it's just tough to it's tough to kind of take it seriously when you've got that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, you're right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that one thing that's lost, and I'm not making excuses here at all. It was only the top of the key that was off by the 9 inches, or wherever it was, 10 inches. The corner threes were fine. The wing threes were fine. So, like, it's not like the entire 3-point line was off. It was just that one part up top, which obviously is the easiest to shoot from, if you ask a shooter, I think, for the most part. But it's not like every shot from three was taken from the one area that was a little off.
Short, yeah. It's I'd be interested. I mean, I don't know if the coaches or the teams that were involved in that one made mention after the game of whether it made a difference or anything like that. But it's just not a great look at a time where the game, like you said, is advancing in leaps and bounds, and then you've got something like that going on.
Yeah, I mean, the game is the healthiest and best it's ever been. I'll say it, I think there's more attention on the women's tournament this year coming into the tournament. Forget what happened in this round with Portland and some of the other stuff, the hotel issue in Spokane with such. But the coming into the tournament, if you ask someone, hey, can you name 5 women's basketball players and 5 men's basketball players? I think there's probably a better shot casual fan could name more women's players than men's players, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's something that they really need to be able to build on, both the NCAA and the WNBA. You'd like to hope. So, yeah, you talked about these 2 games tonight, Doug. Iowa and LSU, and then UConn and USC. Obviously, everybody has been waiting with bated breath for this Iowa LSU game for obvious reasons. It's a rematch of the national championship game, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese right now move the needle as much as anyone in women's basketball.
Yeah, they do. No question. And people are excited for this game. I guess the one thing that people are saying, I agree with it, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's sad that this is a Elite 8 game and not being played in Cleveland next week in the Final Four. And listen, LSU didn't have the season they probably wanted to have, lost a couple more games than they probably should have with the talent they have, which is why we're seeing them play now with a Final Four bid at stake. But, man, there's excitement around this game. I mean, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's looking to see it. I don't think it's going to do the same ratings it did last year on the championship game just because it's not on ABC, it's on ESPN, so a little less eyeballs that can watch it, I think, that way. But I wouldn't be shocked if you get 7-8 million people watching this game tonight.
Yeah, Doug, I was just going to say, Doug, I'm glancing on SeatGeek right now, and I mean, the cheapest ticket to get in the door, close to $200 right now, it looks like.
Yeah, that's probably right. I mean, I've heard people trying to get tickets, and they can't unless they want to spend more than they probably should or want to spend to get in the door. Which, listen, if I was a casual fan of basketball, I'm in the area, I'd want to spend money to watch these 2 teams play because I think it's going to be a really, really exciting game for the fan to watch in person and at home on TV.
Here's what's funny. For all the talk about Caitlin Clark and for all the talk about Angel Reese, Flaw J. Johnson may be the best player on the floor tonight.
She's been great. She has really carried them in the last couple games. She's matured as a player, and she plays with so much joy. I mean, there was a play the other night. She blocked 6'7" Lauren Betts' shot on one end, got the ball, went the other way, got called for a charge, if I remember correctly, but still was smiling afterwards. She was so excited to do that. She makes every big shot for LSU. It really, I think it's her team right now. As great as Angel is, this is a guard's game, and Flage is really the guard who controls and makes LSU go. And you're 100% right. She is fantastic to watch.
What are your feelings about this ball game? How it plays out?
That's a great question. Listen, I think LSU has the size that if it's officiated with the correct way, which is always a question in college basketball, unfortunately, you never know. what you're going to get. And I know some really good officials that did some of the earlier rounds are not here tonight. But LSU has the size that could give trouble to Iowa. I think if Iowa can get out and run the floor and make a more up-tempo game, so if the score is in the mid-70s or 80s, I think it favors Iowa. If it's in the 50s or 60s, I think that's more trouble for Iowa and favors LSU. If you're asking me on the spot right now who I predict to win this game, I like the best player in the country being Caitlin Clark is going to find a way to win it. But I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if LSU, as defending champs, comes away with victory. So is that enough of a hedge for you guys there?
That's plenty of a hedge, and we will accept that. In the nightcap, like you said, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, and there could be instances where they're matched up on each other, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, Paige plays anything from the 1 to the 4 for UConn, depending on where she is and who's in the game. Although they only really play 5 and like a quarter players right now. He doesn't really sub much because half the team is hurt. But that'll be fun to watch. I mean, Paige is a decent defender on the ball, much better off the ball. And Juju is so fantastic to watch. She can get to the basket. She's got a nice pull-up. She can shoot from 3. She is the future of women's basketball as well as the present. And just really excited to see. I'll sort of go ahead of. I think you'll probably ask me who I think is going to win it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I figure you'll get to that eventually, so I might as well throw it out now. I like UConn's experience. I just think that they have enough players that have been there and won big games. I think USC is great. I think the transfers they got from the Ivy Leagues, from my alma mater, Caitlin Davis, who's playing for them now from Columbia, I think helps them immensely. I just think UConn is going to find a way to win the game and get back to the Final Four, starting a new streak. They made it 14 years in a row, and that ended last year. I think they'll get back again.
Doug,
so you think their experience offsets their lack of depth then?
Yeah, I think they're smart enough how to play without getting real foul trouble. Again, you have the question of who's officiating, how they're tightly going to call things or not. And I'm trying not to harp on the officials, but it's unfortunately something you see is that how they can affect the outcome of games, whether people get in foul trouble or not. And it's unfortunate. They're doing the best they can, but I think it needs to probably be reviewed at some point, the officiating in women's basketball, to catch up some of them to where the game is. But yeah,
Doug,
I think
this would probably be a good time for me to tell you that both Wade and I are graduates of Middle Tennessee State.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
It's good to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, so we know exactly whereof you speak. What was your takeaway from yesterday's games?
South Carolina is really good. They're but I'll say that I think they're beatable. They're not one of these unbeatable teams. They're young. You saw they can play so well. If they're playing their best, no one beats them. But you saw in the second half yesterday, or the fourth quarter, I should say, where Oregon State made a run, and the game before that, Indiana was down 22 and made a run where it got interesting. But that said, South Carolina made the plays down the stretch to win both those games. So they're a very, very good team. They're the best team in the country. Are they a slam dunk, so to speak, to win the national championship? No. Are they the heavy favorite? Yes. Would I be shocked if they lost? No.
Yeah, Doug, that's what I was going to get into on the flip side of the bracket with South Carolina. Obviously, with a little bit of a scare versus Indiana, and obviously it's a little bit of a scare at times with Oregon State. Is this a team, though, that in your mind that, maybe we had a couple blips earlier in the tournament, but now you kind of see them recalibrate and kind of ramp back up? Is that maybe the last scare that we potentially have had? Or I guess maybe you kind of alluded to, you wouldn't necessarily be shocked to see them drop a game, whether it's in the Final Four or the championship, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when UConn lost to Mississippi State years ago in the Final Four, everyone was shocked. Like, that was like no one saw that coming. UConn was an unbeatable juggernaut, and it was pure stunningness to it. This one, South Carolina is unbeaten. A really great job. Dawn Staley, he's done such a masterful job with 5 new starters in the lineup and get him to keep on winning and be undefeated and play really well. It's not the same level to me of if they somehow lose, I'm not completely stunned. I'd be surprised, but not that awe factor of, oh my God, I can't believe this happened.
NC State 76, Texas 66. Was Texas the weakest number one?
What Coach Schaefer did to get them to be a number 1 seed and to the Elite 8, losing his star player, Rory Harmon, is unbelievable. I mean, she was the best player on that team coming into the season. She played well for the first month before she got hurt. and he recreated the team with Madison Booker, another really talented freshman, moving to the point spot, basically point forward, and they were fantastic. So, and again, I thought they did a great job. Were they the weakest number one? You could probably say that, but what they did should not be diminished by any stretch because they lost to an NCAA State team that at times, as we saw yesterday, is one of the best teams in the country. They proved it early in the year. They beat UConn. They beat Colorado. They're really, really good. But Texas had a phenomenal year, just had one bad game yesterday.
Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Doug, you mentioned Madison Booker. You mentioned Juju Watkins. You know, we've not talked about Audie Crooks, but have you seen more impactful freshmen in 1 year? You know, Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame. Have you seen more impactful freshmen in 1 year at any point in this sport?
No, I haven't. And that's why I'm so happy and so enthusiastic about the future of the sport. That everyone's like, oh, Caitlin Clark graduates or leaves. People aren't going to care anymore. All you have to do is turn on any of those players you just named, watch them play. You're like, wow, they're really good. And there's another 5 or 6 out there as well. And the group coming in is also really good. So I'm excited for the future of the sport based on those players and how they're actually spread out across the country. It's not one team. It's not Tennessee. It's not UConn that has all of them. They're spread out everywhere. And I think it's going to be really exciting to watch women's basketball continue to grow over the next 4 or 5, 10 years.
And it's interesting that you mentioned Tennessee, which doesn't have any of those. And hopefully the next coach can go get a couple because they've got an opening. What was your reaction or your response to the news that Kelly Harper has been dismissed at UT?
It feels like I'm using the phrase surprised but not shocked a lot today. And I was surprised. I mean, I thought she did a nice job. You have to wonder if they hit one more defensive stop in the SEC tournament to South Carolina, would she still have her job right now? And that's a question for their AD. I think that they're going to probably have to go outside the Tennessee family to find the next coach. I know people are throwing on Carol Lawson's name. She's building something at Duke that's pretty good. I don't know if she'd want to leave there to go to Tennessee. I think she probably could have had that job when Kelly was hired, and she obviously didn't want it or didn't take it. So I think they have to go outside the family and build from outside in to get them back to the level that Tennessee fans are accustomed to.
Who is that?
If I knew that, I'd be a fortune teller. I know people are throwing around Scott Rueck's name, the Oregon State coach. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked at that one because I think he's from Oregon State, went to school there, loves that program. Obviously, he's done a great job building there. I would think that Tennessee probably hires a female coach based on past, but maybe they're going completely different and will hire a male. Who knows? It's so fresh. I haven't really had a chance to focus on who could be that next coach. I mean, I do have this game tonight I have to start focusing on at some point. But there will be no shortage of candidates, I think, for that job.
Yeah, I guess maybe a different way to phrase that question, Doug, is Tennessee still a big enough job where they're going to land a major, quote unquote, major candidate, or is this this cycle potentially one where Lady Vols fans may have to, quote unquote, settle for a middle tier type candidate, at least on paper, heading into this search?
I think it's still one of the top 10 jobs in the country, no question. They're not used to coaching searches. They've had, 3 coaches in the history of the program, something like that, since Pat Summitt. So I think it's still a really good job. If the athletic department wants to pay and obviously invest in the programs they've done for so long, it's one of the top jobs in the country, no question. When Gino Auriemma retires from Connecticut, I would be a little bit more concerned about that job and that program falling off a fair amount. Tennessee's in the SEC. They're going to want to be competitive. They want to be good. I would think that's still one of the top jobs in the country.
While we have you with your crystal ball out, and you mentioned the game that you're getting ready to cover tonight, how many points do we think Caitlin puts up? Does Caitlin have to have one of those crazy performances again tonight for Iowa to win in your mind?
I'll phrase it this way. I think she has to account for 60 points tonight. When I say account for, I mean between assists and points. So she is the 30 and 15 she had the other night, or 29 and 15. That's probably good enough to do it. If she goes 40 and 10, that's probably good enough to do it. If she goes 35 and 5, I think they're in trouble.
That's interesting That's an interesting way to look at it, and I'm going to try to keep that in mind as the night progresses. So she has to account for 60 points. Okay. Um, who do you like when they all get together in Cleveland? Now,
Well,
obviously, you only know who two of the teams in Cleveland are, but who do you like?
Well, if we go with my picking Iowa and UConn based on the conversation before,
Mhm.
I think South Carolina beats NC State. I think it'll be a good game, but I think South Carolina beats them. And then UConn, Iowa. We saw that matchup I saw it in the bubble 4 years ago when Clark and Beckers were freshmen, and UConn came away with a win. That UConn team was better than the one that's playing now. I think Iowa's better than the team that they were back then. So that would go South Carolina, Iowa in the finals. And that would be a pretty good ratings draw, I would think. And it's one covering it, it'd be a lot of fun to do that. So
that would be a barn burner right there.
If I'm wrong and LSU wins tonight, and LSU versus South Carolina rematch, that would definitely be very good as well, based on the SEC tournament final, which we all know was exciting for a lot of reasons, including, unfortunately, some issues on the court at the end of the game with players getting a little bit too excited. We'll call it that.
Yeah. Great. Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Doug, we appreciate it. Know you got a game to get ready for, and we'll let you do that. But thank you so much for your time, and hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, fellas. Enjoy the game tonight.
Appreciate it. That was good stuff. That was good. I think we had Doug on one other time, but he's covered that sport for a long time and does a really good job with it, and appreciate his insight. When we come back again to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, we'll tie up some loose ends. So stay with us as we reach into the grab bag on the other side of this break. I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros. Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe if not a puck, how about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
The Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely. One thing that we need to do, and I need to do it right now because if I don't, I'll forget it. But we want to send out our condolences to the Rossview High School community and the Clarksville community on the tragic passing of Cam Ward Friday night while he was playing pickup basketball up there. Cam Ward was a key portion of, and not just the basketball program, but the football program at Rossview. But Rossview made it to the state semifinals this year before they lost to Independence in Class 4A. And, you know, I was seeing posts late Friday night, and it's like, I just saw this kid play basketball in the state tournament 2 weeks ago. And y'all, it's just a reminder that nothing's a given, nothing's promised to us. And, as a parent, man, it's tough. I just hate it for Johnny Jackson and his family and all those people up there. And so just wanted to make sure that we pass our condolences along for as far as that goes. So it's very unfortunate. Moving right along. Wade, we talked a little bit about UT. We didn't talk much else about the rest of this Final Four. You got Purdue and NC State. You got Connecticut and who? Remind me. I just went blank. Who's our fourth?
Roll Tide.
Oh, I don't know how I forgot, but yeah.
First one ever.
Yeah. I mean, led by, and we've talked so much about the transfer portal over the course of this year, not just this season, but this year, not just in basketball, but Alabama's best player started at Ohio University. What was that kid doing in the MAC?
Yeah.
And Mark Sears, I guarantee you Nate Oates makes sure he's on the plane when they leave Tuscaloosa this week.
And I mean, how about this? 11 years ago, Nate Oates was still coaching at Romulus High School.
Romulus in Detroit. How about that?
Up in Michigan, and then goes to Buffalo, and now we're sitting here talking about him 2 wins away from a national championship.
Now, did Danny White hire him at Buffalo?
Oh, now that is a good question.
I don't know, but obviously, like you said, Oates was at Buffalo and Danny White was AD up there, but I don't know if that was his hire or not. But regardless,
it was indeed, apparently, per the internet.
Wow. So, I mean, that ought to give you a little more hope if you're a UT fan watching this women's basketball search. So
he's been able to pluck some good ones, like we've said a couple times on this show. And if you can pluck another good one, I think, again, that Lady Vols job could be just a fire waiting to be ignited.
Yeah. Nate Oates giving hope to high school basketball coaches all over the country. Like you said, 11 years he's gone from the high school ranks to the NCAA Final Four. That's pretty amazing.
Per his wiki, his last season led Romulus 27-1 and a Class A state championship. So you go from winning the Class A title to 11 years leading Alabama to its first ever Final Four.
11 years. Now, did he, when he left Romulus, did he step into an assistant's role or?
Yeah, served as an assistant for 2 years. And then obviously ended up becoming the head coach from 2015 to 19.
Before he came down here
at Buffalo. And
ooh, that's amazing, man. That's fantastic. It's one of those inspirational stories, I would think. So you got UConn and Alabama, you got NC State and Purdue, and both those games will be on Saturday, and then the championship game on Monday.
Bobby Hurley, the coach, by the way, at Buffalo, just prior. Is that not that's
Bobby or Danny?
Brother of Dan, but so he's got some familiarity with the family, at least heading into the showdown this weekend.
Yeah, should be interesting. That Alabama team, they kind of had some ups and downs over the course of the SEC season. I mean, if you're Todd Golden in Florida, you're looking at this and going, "Are you serious?" Yeah. So
a couple things for Bama too. Number one, they're flying. Just listening to CBS's Gary Parrish just a little bit ago before we went on air. They're really trying to fly in the face. They're trying to stick it to the nerds, Mo, is what they're trying to do, because Alabama is trying to do something that really does not get done very often. They're trying to win without a top-rated offense or defense. We know how good their offense is. Ken Palm's got them ranked third, but Ken Palm has 104th in defense. And over the stat is 19, I think, out of the last 20 years. If you're not ranked in the top 20 of both of those stats, you basically you don't win. And so Alabama, that's the age-old question. Is their elite offense going to be good enough to make up for what is not a great defense?
Not elite defense, clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. The good news for them, elite offense, maybe potentially enough to overcome. Definitely not an elite defense. And then the other crazy part about Alabama is the saga and drama that we were looking at this program just 1 year ago, and all the scandal on campus. I mean, talk about a dose of good medicine in a short amount of time. This run is coming at a perfect time for both Oats and Alabama.
They certainly needed it. Absolutely. Yeah. That's wild. This UConn team has been everybody's odds-on favorite all along to win the whole thing. So can Alabama come up with enough offense and shore up its defense enough to slow the Huskies down? I guess that's kind of the question.
Odds makers say UConn is favored by about 12, 11.5 on their game. That'll be the second game on Saturday. First game, Purdue, NC State. Purdue's favored by about 8.5. And Mo, we were dangerously close. I'm watching the game yesterday, and it's a tragedy that we won't get to see this. We were the closest we have ever been to seeing yours truly actively cheering for the Tennessee Volunteers. We were a Tennessee win, and we were a Duke win away from actively seeing me wearing I'd bust out the Tyler Smith. I'd have the T. Smith Vols jersey on, and I'd be ready to go yet again. But fate intervened, and alas, that will not happen. And so I'm just going to kick back and enjoy. I hope the games are a lot closer than this tournament. And Doug just said it a moment ago. I think the women's tournament, by and large, has been the more compelling tournament in my mind this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, as a Michigan fan, you weren't rooting for Tennessee yesterday against Purdue?
I mean, I'll tell you this. There was a little bit of Vols Twitter is Vols Twitter. And I'm not going to certainly draw the ire of them by any means. But,
no, you don't want.
I enjoy a little Schadenfreude with the best of them. So, again, Purdue is just, with even no disrespect to our buddy Jerry Palm, who did a great job joining us down the stretch run of college basketball, and a big Purdue guy. It's a hard team to really get behind. And so I wasn't diehard rooting for UT. And man, it would have been cool to see. I tell you what, and I mentioned it in that first segment, seeing Connect do what he did, it would have been really frustrating and disappointing if Tennessee had lost that game and Connect had kind of laid an egg. But the fact that he delivered a great performance, which was really the calling card all year long for Tennessee fans, maybe to get over the proverbial hump. If they would have got to this point and then he would have came up and laid an egg, it would have been really frustrating and disappointing to listen to the haters of Rick Barnes kind of going on about it just couldn't get it done and stuff. But I think it was a great game yesterday. I mean, I was just glued to the TV watching that one as those two guys just went back and forth toe to toe. And I was just purely enjoying it. But yeah, Purdue. And then NC State, I was just assuming, obviously, kind of given the benefit of the doubt, shame on me that Duke was going to take care of NC State, but shows what I know, right?
Right. This NC State team kind of looks like a team of destiny, the 11 seed coming out to the Final Four. Shades of 83, maybe. We'll see.
Man.
For quite some time, we were talking about the Preds and their 18-game point streak. All of a sudden, they're on a two-game streak with no points. Been outscored 15-8 in losses to the Avalanche and the Coyotes. Where are we on the Predators right now?
And when we were at First Horizon last week, I didn't really deep down mean it or think it, but I did broach the topic. I said, wouldn't this just be wild if they go out and lose to one of the worst teams in all the NHL and in this streak, and they go out and lose to the Coyotes, who are already been eliminated from the playoff discussion. That one, all good things must come to an end. But the only frustrating part about that was, as we also touched on, you had to go out and play Colorado on Saturday. And then you have a massive tilt at home tomorrow night versus the Bruins. So in a way, it's good that the Preds accumulated all those points because, man, it would be really frustrating right now if they had done, maybe half of that production and they were really, really battling for a playoff spot. They still haven't clinched, but they're all but clinched. And if they were going to be a point here or a point there from maybe getting in or out, that Phoenix loss, that Arizona loss would have really, really stung a little bit more, I think.
Big time. Like you said, they've got the Bruins coming in tomorrow night at 7 at Bridgestone, and we'll be keeping an eye on that one. Wade, your footy team played to a 2-2 draw over the weekend.
Stop me if you've heard that before, right? Nashville plays to a draw, and NSC plays to a 2-2 draw. Frustrating team. And I think it was Valaire that told us a couple weeks ago. If not, it was on a different show. But at one point, somebody had mentioned that the way that NSC plays, it's going to sound like a bit of a stretch, but they're kind of like the Mike Vrabel Titans. And follow me here. On paper, maybe not the most talented by any stretch, but what they do a great job of just scrapping and clawing and hanging in every game. But the thing is, their games are very high variance, and it really only takes one little thing to go one way or the other. That's how thin the margins are when your team is on paper not that talented. And it's kind of bared out in front of us yet again. This team just cannot, unfortunately, find ways to either hold leads or to get back in games when they need to. And so they get the point. They're 1-4-1. They've got 1 win and 4 draws right now. The good news, they've only lost 1 game. The bad news, I got 4 draws, and at least 2 of those they should have easily won.
What's next for them?
NSC, it's hopefully not more 2-2 draws. I can tell you that match. And I just had their schedule pulled up. They've got Philadelphia, and I believe that's at home, and that's this weekend at 7:30. And Philadelphia's one of those teams that has had their number in the years past, kind of let them off the proverbial hook. But NSC right now, I will say this. They did have a what's the word I'm looking for? Highlight reel play. We can certainly say that as kind of reverberating across at least MLS Twitter, which is a thing, believe it or not.
Okay.
As Godoy puts in a bicycle kick. And I saw a great tweet from my buddy Vincent Love. He hate V on Twitter. And he pointed out, he said, man, I've seen Leo Messi play in this building twice, and I have never seen a goal like I saw Godoy put in for NSC off the bicycle kick. And that's the frustrating thing. They've got so much promise around them. And then at the end, you got to settle for the 2-2 draw. Kind of just rings a little hollow, right?
Yeah. In tribute to the guy who ain't with us, Birmingham Stallions opened UFL play Saturday with a 27-14 win over the Arlington Renegades. Matt Corral, 12 of 21, 201, and a touchdown. Also on Saturday, the Michigan Panthers edged the St. Louis Battlehawks 18-16 behind a 64-yard field goal from Jake Bates with 3 seconds to play. We mentioned San Antonio's Brahmas and their thick six in that 27-12 win over DC. And the Showboats of Memphis down the Houston Roughnecks, excuse me, not Rednecks, Roughnecks. 18-12 on the road. Christian McFarland gets Memphis off to a 15-0 start, and they hang on for the victory there, sacking Jarrett Garantano 4 times and recovering 3 Houston fumbles.
I didn't watch any of these games this weekend, Mo, but I did see this. You mentioned the field goal for the Battlehawks, or to knock off the Battlehawks. Jake Bates had not even attempted a field goal since high school, and he made the 64-yarder to get the game. That is just unbelievable. That blew my mind.
It's like riding a bike, right?
I guess so, man. And he made it look easy. Wow.
That's wild. Hey, tomorrow on Main Street Sports Today, we've got Maria Cornelius coming in, talk a little bit more about UT women's basketball. We've also got Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us 2 o'clock tomorrow from the Lee Company Studios. We'll see you.